This is Dzirae Gold, and you are listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Unteed, and with me in Dog Bowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Big Strix Vinyl Records and Sports Cards, located in Rock Island, Illinois. New, vintage, and previously owned. You can find it at Big Strix. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Dzirae Gold. She's a jazz, blues, funk, and R&B singer.
Yeah, what she's got coming out, an upcoming single, right?
Yeah,
What's
she's got
that
a new
called?
single, 8th Avenue, coming soon.
And she's got a couple of upcoming live shows in the Denver area, right? Yeah, well, hey, fantastic interview. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Dzirae, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Dzirae, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hello, happy to be here.
Well, we're fantastic. We're excited to have you. Let's get right into it. So you are preparing to release new Dzirae Gold music early in 2026. Can you give our listeners an insight of what's on the horizon for you?
Yes, so I am very excited to have a single ready. It's a long process to release a song correctly and send it down all of the right avenues. Speaking of, the title of the song will be 8th Avenue, and I'm super excited about it because it's kind of funky, kind of jazzy. It's an upbeat song, but kind of a melancholy flavor, lyrically and otherwise. So
exciting,
cool.
Just tell us a little bit about your writing style or the process that you go through when you're writing a new track.
Yeah, well, this song is no exception to what usually happens for me. I am most often hit with inspiration when I'm just like driving, and I might be listening to music, I might not be, but if some kind of melody or some kind of catchy turn of phrase comes to mind, I'll just turn off the music or whatever I'm listening to and kind of hash it out in my car. I have many, many voice memos of just that. And most of my favorite songs that I've ever written have started in the car. And then, as soon as I can get home to a keyboard, that's when I sit down and try to figure out where it should go. So that's always not always, but that's often how it begins. And then from there, I really like to play it a lot with different musicians and kind of catch or capture what I want it to be in its final form, just through trial and error.
Very good. I guess we've talked to many artists over the years when it comes to songwriting. where they'll catch themselves, hey, they're going to bed for the evening, but something pops in their head and they got to get up and they got to get their phone out and record it. Do those kind of situations happen to you as well?
Absolutely. Usually inspiration strikes at the most inopportune time. And it's really funny. Usually I can't, like if I'm, on a time crunch, I can't really sit down and figure it out then, but I will at the minimum just like whisper a voice memo to myself of the melody or the idea and then come back to it as soon as I can. I do have countless notes, and it's frustrating because when I can't get straight to it, the inspiration, that moment slips away, and then it's harder to like recreate it or dive back into this idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I have so many notes in my phone of just like unfinished ideas, which is okay because I found that it also serves when I am feeling like writer's block, or just like I want to write but nothing is really coming to mind. Then I have all of these ideas that are unused still, and I can use those.
Well, I guess that would lead into the next question as far as the archive of your material. Yeah. Do you have quite a few songs that you've completed that you just don't feel that are quite good enough at this time? Or how does it work out? Because we've talked to so many guests that in the past that have talked about, we either use them or we don't, or we just throw them away. But do you keep them, or how does it work?
I have so many songs that I can't see a future with, which is such a bummer. But I don't throw them away ever. I definitely keep a log of all of them just in case, I'll write something that, even if it resonates with where I'm at, it's not a message that I want to send,
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that like we aren't all multifaceted people and we should limit ourselves and not express every piece, that feels authentic. But, at the same time, I do feel protective over pieces that I don't necessarily want to share. So I keep them. And they're still kind of therapeutic for me. Like I'll sit down and sing a song that I don't really see a future with, even though it rings really true for me. But I'll sit down and sing it probably weekly just because it feels good for me. And who knows, maybe down the road I will have a change of heart and decide that the rest of the world deserves to have it too. But not now.
Understandable. Yeah.
Well, maybe the song's just not ready yet. It'll come to you later.
That's very true.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us, you're from Denver now. Have you always lived in Denver, or where did you come from before making music?
Yeah. I actually hail from Aurora, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Not far from us.
Yeah, that's my hometown. I grew up there. We did a small stint in Columbus, Ohio. So I spent like 5 years of my life in Columbus as a wee child, but I barely count that. And then so I spent most of my formative years in Chicagoland, and then I moved out to Massachusetts for college with the intention of going to a conservatory, but I never made my way to a conservatory. I stayed at a little liberal arts college and still I got a great education there. And then I moved back to Illinois for a time before coming out to Denver about 6 years ago.
Oh, very good. Well, by day, I'm a school teacher, so I got to know, were you East, West, or Waubonsie Valley?
Oh, I went to West.
Ah, Blackhawks, huh?
Yeah. Yes, go Blackhawks.
There you go. All right, well, enough of that. Let's get back to the music here. So, you released your debut album right on time back in 2024. Can you tell us a bit more about the writing and recording for this first album?
Oh, boy. There's so much to share on that. Most of the album, I wrote it back in 2020. There are a few songs off of it. There's one song that I did not write, actually. But most of those songs are from 2020 during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
There were, lots of things coming up in that time that sparked a lot of creativity, and, not to mention we were all stuck inside. So, that was a very fruitful time in terms of writing for me and just discovering my sound and my musical identity. So there were multiple iterations of this music before I finally landed on what it is now. And, it was a challenge pretty much every step of the way. I'd get really excited about a song, track it, and then I just felt so, unimpressed by the work. And I knew that each tune had so much more potential. And I was limited in my ability to see it reach that. So it took many years of just, growing my network out here in Denver. Yeah. And I mean, in that time I was gigging full time and just, hustling so hard. So I met almost everyone out here in the Denver music scene in that time and built my dream band to get into the studio and record the final iteration of this project. And I'm really happy with it. There, of course, are still things that I would change, but you've got to let it fly on its own at some point, right?
Absolutely.
I know too many artists that get stuck in that trap and then sit on an album for a full decade. And I was feeling so terrible about my journey with this music because I wrote it in 2020 and life had changed so much by the time I finally released it in 2024. For us to move into a pandemic and then back out of it, I became a completely different person, and I was worried that some of the music wouldn't resonate with me still, that I was outgrowing it. But ultimately, I think I just found new purpose and new meaning in it, which is really cool. Yeah. And actually the initial, thought for this album, I wanted to name it Golden Hour, and eventually I outgrew that title. It just didn't fit the stage of my life that I was in by the time that the project was actually done. Mm. And because I was having such a hard time with just the thought, the concept of this taking me 4 years to complete, I had to do like a lot of self work around that and just like not limiting myself to a timeline and releasing control. Goodness gracious, releasing control. Yeah. So yeah, ultimately I changed the title of the album to Right on Time because it was a reminder to myself and hopefully all of my listeners that we're all on our own path and there's no incorrect timing. As long as you do the thing, who cares how long it takes?
Agreed, for sure. Yeah,
nice.
Definitely.
Well, you kind of alluded to finding your dream band. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other players that helped you out on this album?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So they're all there's some big cats out here in Denver. So my guitarist is incredible. His name is DJ Williams, and he's not from Colorado. I believe he's from Georgia. No, okay. West Virginia. Ah. He's from, I don't know, the South over there somewhere. I'm sorry. So DJ Williams on guitar, he's incredible. And he definitely has that like Southern soulful style on the electric guitar. He can make that thing cry. So he was instrumental, pardon the pun. My keys player is one of my favorite in town. Mind you, I have many favorites at this point, but Eric Luba played keys and we had just the best time. We played grand. He played the Rhodes. He played, I can't remember what other keyboard. And then we just played with all of the different silly sounds. There was a lot of time spent just like goofing with all of the possibilities in the studio because he's a riot and he's got a great brain for that kind of stuff. My bassist is a man named Will Gaines. He's a phenomenal bassist, one of the best here in town as well. And he tours with Marion. Shoot, I'm blanking on his last name, but he is an amazing trumpeter that still tours internationally. So Will is like, he goes way back with jazz and funk music. That's his domain. And you can hear it, I think.
Yeah, there was definitely
album.
some cool bass lines in there.
Yeah. You know what? We did have a different upright player come in though, and he's great as well. His name is Patrick, and he's one of the best jazz bassists in town. But no one in this city limits themselves to one genre, which I appreciate so much. If they play jazz, they also play funk and blues and anything else. Let's see. Oh, drums. I had, his name is Braxton Kahn. He's a great player here in town too. Another one of the jazz cats. And he's played with me quite a bit. I've done some like live shows here in town, with some radio stations, and he's on most of those because he's great. He hears and feels the music just as well as I do, sometimes even better than I do, which is really neat. But I have to say that the most important mind on this project was my producer. Her name is Lauren Dorland. She studied at Berkeley, in sound engineering, and moved out here and just started right away at a studio called Mighty Fine Productions. And she was like my favorite engineer to work with from the jump. Mostly, I mean, how many female engineers do you meet? Yeah. But she was also just really cool, and she understood what I was going for immediately. So ultimately, after so many years went by that I was just like barely hacking at this thing, she was like, hey, you're on my mind a lot, and I'm wondering if you would be open to me producing it so that we can just get it done. And that was so necessary because she really did manage to build out a timeline, and then she kept us on track with it, which was the hardest part for me, was just like following through on each and every little step of it. So yeah, and it's her flavor all over it. It's her ear. She mixed it as well. And the one song that I did not write from the album, she actually wrote. It is the tune Booty Call.
Yeah.
That one is Lauren's.
Nice.
Well, speaking of the tracks on the album, On My Skin and Heart is my favorite track. Can you talk a little bit more about the creation, the songwriting behind that track? Fantastic song.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite songs on the album as well. It's arguably the deepest one for me. I wrote that song after attending many, many protests right here in downtown at the Capitol. And that was a really heavy time, for a lot of people, and especially for the city. Living in a downtown area when there are protests happening all day, every single day for weeks was, it did feel really heavy and really intense. And it caused me to go inwards a lot. There was one moment in particular when I was marching, and for some background, I suppose I should tell you and the listeners, I am a mixed woman. I'm mixed, black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And showing up at these protests put me in, I just felt conflicted, even though there was no real conflict. It was just me getting in my head about how much space I get to take up, and where I stand. But that song was kind of like therapy for me. Growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, I kind of felt like I had to choose an identity. And it felt easiest because I was an honors student and a cheerleader. It just felt easiest to lean into being the like whiter version of myself. Well, however anyone wants to interpret that.
Yeah.
So I spent a long time, a large portion of my life, trying to whitewash myself, and just be as assimilated as possible with the group of people I was surrounded by. And it was in 2020 that I sort of shed that skin and started to step into just being 100% authentically me. And it took some time. I had to like move around back and forth with, experimenting with my identity and figuring out, where do I really reside when I take off the mask? So that song is really, it's me taking off the mask. It's me acknowledging, here are the parts of myself that I have been denying or avoiding or trying to hide, and I can't anymore. I won't anymore. And that now I'm proud to be exactly who I am. It actually took longer than most of the other songs on the album, because I just really wanted to do it right. And I didn't want to explicitly say all of that,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be open to interpretation. I want it to be relatable to everyone, because I think that we all have similar battles that we fight, and it doesn't have to be race-based. It can be any other part of a person's identity that they're struggling with. So I tried to keep it as generic or general as possible. But yeah, I still wanted to make sure that when it came time, like in this moment, when it came time to tell this story, it comes together well. So I talk about, I've got curls, and I wear them so proud. I used to relax and press my hair every day, just to try to keep it as straight as possible, and other things like that. So just naming some of it.
Fantastic. I did want to go back to you talked about writing this album during the pandemic, and once again we've talked to so many artists during the pandemic when we were actually podcasting during the pandemic that had conflicting thoughts on the pandemic. Some of them thought of it as being a Pandora's box for their songwriting and creativity, and others found it to be almost like they had writer's block. I guess for you, where was your mind at during the pandemic? Did you find that creative space, or did you find it to be a struggle?
I think because it lasted so long, I was able to move in and out of creative and blocked phases a couple different times. Like when some of the heaviest moments, I was definitely still writing, but none of it felt like 100% true. I did make it a habit. I mean, there really wasn't much else for me to do. So I made it a habit to play every day and to try to write every day. And some days, most days, what came out, I was just like, oh, this sucks. And there is no inspiration here. There's so much happening. You'd think that I'd be able to say it. I'd be able to say something about it. But everything that came out felt uninspired, or derivative, so there were a lot of those moments. But like I said, a lot of this album did come from the pandemic. On My Skin and Heart did. Memory Jar came right after Denver opened up, which this city was itching to reopen as soon as possible. So I was playing gigs in May, which seemed crazy, because they were like, well, we need you to be outside and you have to wear a mask. And I was like, well, I'm singing. This is strange, but okay, I will. So I was still gigging a lot that entire summer. So Memory Jar came out of that, and all of the wonderful people that I got to meet, and also, probably say goodbye to for the first and last time. And a couple other tunes. Downtown came from the pandemic as well. That is a moody song that also is not right. And it's, you don't necessarily know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was that same time frame, just looking out and seeing the city from my window. what would have on a normal weekday have been a bustling city all of a sudden is just quiet was so strange. And it just got me thinking a lot more. Like the only people that I would see on the streets were a handful of homeless folks. And yeah, so that just put me in a very pensive place. A lot of songs from the album came from that time, but a lot of crap came from that time as well. So.
Understandable.
Yeah. The opening track, Overexposure, was a fun song. Not only R&B, but a little rap in there too. Can you talk, maybe a little bit about that song?
Totally. So that one is not from the pandemic. That is actually from when I was living out in Illinois still. And I was teaching private voice lessons to mostly children. And I would have been maybe 22 when I wrote this one because it was a Saturday morning. I had to be at work at 8 a.m. to teach small children how to play a 5-finger scale on the keyboard. And it just so happened that the night before I had partied a lot. So I was at 22, who can believe it?
Right.
8 a.m. I'm barely functioning, and I grabbed a reusable cup to go to Dunkin' Donuts to get some coffee, and I give them the cup, and then when they give it back to me and I take my first sip, I realize that I definitely still had some vodka in the bottom of that cup from the night before. So that's how that song was born, because I took my first sip and I just started cackling. I was just like, are you kidding? Of course this is happening right now. Once again, I was just driving 20 minutes to work and I had this phrase, my coffee tastes like booze, stuck in my head. And so, that song was born.
Oh, so cool. Very cool.
Right.
Well, with the new Dzirae Gold music on the horizon that we talked about at the beginning here, let's talk about the contrast and comparisons to the music that you're writing now opposed to the music that you wrote for your debut album. Like you said, you felt like as though when you started with the album you started writing in 2020, it released it in 2024, and you felt like you were a different person from the start to finish of that album. I guess as far as like songwriting maturity for yourself, do you feel like there's a wide range of maturity that's happened since 2020 for yourself when it comes to songwriting?
Definitely. In every way, in every facet. I think that lyrically my standard is higher, which definitely makes it harder to write because I do put a lot more pressure on myself. That said, though, when I'm able to take the pressure off and just write what comes to mind, I've learned that that's still a great process and that I can just go in and tweak and adjust and improve down the road. So my process, I would say, has maybe matured a bit when I can get out of my own way. Musically, I know so much more now, than I did before. In 2020, if you asked me, okay, what kind of beat are you thinking for this? I simply couldn't have communicated because I didn't have a thought in my head about how it should sound. I was very limited. And now I feel like I have a vocabulary and an understanding, and I know what kind of feel I'm looking for with each song as it's being created, which is really cool. And I'm super open to possibilities as well, which can be overwhelming. And it's like a fine line that I'm still learning to walk, honestly, between trying to stay open to options and also just making a decision.
Well, with that being said, though, when it comes to the finished product, when you're done with the song, you have recorded it as many times as you possibly can. How easy or how difficult is it for you to say, okay, it's done, I have to walk away from it, I cannot tinker with this any longer? Yeah. Do you struggle with that? Is it in your psyche that you struggle with the finished product or the end product, however you want to call it?
Absolutely. Like the song that I'm ramping up to release towards the end of this year it's not perfect, but I have learned how to let go a little bit sooner. So like when I listen to it now, of course I hear the things that I would maybe choose to change or improve, but those are things that I can change or improve in live performances. And I've given myself the permission to just let it be what it is or was when it was captured and move on. Yeah. Cause I just, goodness gracious, the way that I suffered in my own brain with this whole process was crazy. There's been so much growth.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, yeah, back in July, I think you Come Away With Me, a tribute to Norah Jones, you participated in. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite projects to be a part of. It's a group, most of them are Boulder based, but there are two guys in the group as well that are from here in Denver that are a couple of my favorite players. And the bassist was the one who came to me and said, "Hey, are you familiar with this album? I think it's really beautiful, and I think that you would sound amazing on it. And I think that a lot of people would pay to come see this if you're willing to." And it was so serendipitous because Come Away With Me was one of my favorite CDs. I damn near burned through it, you know. It came out in 2005?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I was 10 at the time, and I just remember falling in love with it. And I knew at that time that I wanted to grow up to be a singer. And Norah Jones was one of the very first artists that I chose to cover music by. And this was when I could barely play piano. I was limited to 3 notes in one hand at a time. But I was like, I love her songs, and I need to learn how to play them immediately. So she inspired me a ton to pursue this thing, to learn piano. To lean all the way in. And it was like a full circle moment when I got this invitation to put on this production, to perform this album. So we've done that 3 or 4, I think 4 times now. Oh, cool. And we'll do it again next February as well. And it's just a treat. And every time I get to discover something new in the music, like something new within myself and something new that's happening in the music that I hadn't noticed before, you know?
Well, fantastic. Well, you have some upcoming live shows in October and November. Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about it, and where can your fans find you performing at? What venues?
Yes. So if people are local to Denver, I will be on October 24th. I will be at the Jazz Lounge in Dazzle, which is inside of the Denver Performing Arts Center. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. And I'll just be playing with Solomon Chapman, who's one of my favorite keys players in town as well. He and I will just be playing a bunch of like jazz standards and like old blues tunes for a couple hours after the late night show. Nice. On their main stage. So I'm really excited about that one. It's sweet. It's free. Last time we played there, we packed the house. And it was just a blast. The following weekend is Halloween weekend, and I will be out in Boulder for a Motown show, which is a riot as well. We all get into costume, and there's usually a costume contest, and it's just several hours of like danceable Motown music. It's really fun.
So cool.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. The last one is in November 21st. I will be opening up for the Burrows, which is a phenomenal funk group here in town. And that one will just be a 45-minute set of me playing original music. So I'll get to play some of the old stuff from the album, but lots of new stuff as well that I'm excited about.
Oh, so cool. So how I discovered to send you an invitation on the podcast was, so we have a podcast page on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything. The commercial, that little commercial that comes up about Mannequin Entertainment, is that correct? That always has you singing right away. And we'd go to post new episodes up, and there's that commercial comes up with you're singing. And I'm like, who is this girl with these pipes? I got to figure out who it is. So I got to tell you, I had to really investigate who you were. I was like, we have got to bring her on the podcast. So that commercial that they do with Mannequin Entertainment is how we found you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one last question for you. So maybe some of our listeners, we have listeners all over the place, might not be privy to the Denver music scene.
Yeah.
I know, pardon my ignorance, I've never been to Denver. So can you just talk a little bit more about the Denver music scene? Because it's a fascinating thing to me. Everywhere you go, in America, there's a different scene. Even all over the world, there's a different music scene. Talk about the Denver music scene a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I know people don't think of us as a music city, especially not in comparison to New York or LA or even Austin these days, Nashville, of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But our music scene is thriving out here. It has, some venues still have they're stuck in the small music scene mindset. But when you keep in mind that we have Red Rocks just 30 minutes away,
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got some gorgeous theaters here in town, some great venues like the Mission Ballroom and the Bluebird Theater.
Mm-hmm.
There are many. So we've got some really great theaters here in town. But what's even better, in my opinion, is that the live music scene here is really accessible. There are so many places in town, like right here in downtown, that have live music every single night of the week with no cover, where you're seeing musicians that tour internationally, but you can count on them being here pretty much every Tuesday at this same club. And it's so cool because you get to be in community with some really phenomenal players. But the scene is vast. I'm zeroed in with the jazz and funk scenes.
Sure.
But we have every kind of genre roll through. And I will say that it's the jam band scene out here that thrives a lot. We've got a lot of Fish Heads and Grateful Dead. What do they call themselves?
Deadheads, right? Is that what they call it?
Deadheads.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a lot of those brands of people here too, which, isn't surprising when you consider the history of marijuana legalization and everything. It's just this is the place. But yeah, we've got it all. There's hip hop, there's rock, there's R&B, there's country, bluegrass, everything. And it's just a hop skip up to the mountains. And there are so many really amazing festivals happening all summer long in the mountains too, for each of these genres.
Do you feel as though that the Denver music scene was a better fit for you than opposed to downtown Chicago or something like that?
Well, I'm not sure. I will say that the Denver weather was a better fit for me than the Chicago weather.
Absolutely.
But I really have no way of knowing. I never really tried my hand. I played maybe 5 or 10 gigs in downtown Chicago before I moved. So I hadn't given it a really solid try. I just felt the need to move away from home and start a brand new identity with this mindset, and resolution that I am a musician and that's how I will introduce myself, rather than being, little Desi who, yeah, she's always loved to sing. Oh, she's performing professionally now, it's just,
Exactly.
It felt weird.
Yeah.
So it felt like I needed to leave and come back if I do come back. But all that said, Denver has been so good to me. I've just been so blessed to be taken up. I've been here, like I said, 6 years. And in that time, I I just feel honored and respected in a way that I never really expected, but it's been really wonderful. So last year my album was chosen by Westward, which is the biggest magazine in the city. It was chosen by Westward magazine as the best debut album of the year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which was a shock. I didn't talk to anyone about that. It's just like all of a sudden I got this email that said, congratulations. So that was very cool. Then this year I was chosen to play the City Park Jazz Festival, it's 40 years old and it only goes for 10 weekends. It's one band each weekend in the summertime. And I received the invitation for that. So, it feels like I'm seen and appreciated here in a way that I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't expect here, but I definitely wouldn't expect in Chicago, and especially not in just 5 years.
Well, sounds like you're headed for even more exciting times.
Yeah.
First of all, we want to thank you for a fantastic interview.
Yeah,
you've been fantastic.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah, but before we let you go for the evening, is there anything that we left off that you would like to plug or promote?
Gosh, I don't think so. I think we hit it all.
Well, that's what we want to hear.
All right.
So this is how things are going to work out. When Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets it all cleaned up for us, we'll put it together. We'll send it to you. I can text it to you. I can email it to you. Whatever you want, we'll do that. Okay. Thank you so much for everything. So I don't know if you know the history of the podcast or not, but we're all genre music industry podcast.
No, I did. I checked it out. I don't know like your whole history, but I did see that you cover it all, which is very neat.
We're just trying to do something all inclusive. It's like to be alternative, you got to take on everything, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what our goal is. So yeah. So anyway, we were going to leave you alone for the evening. Like I said, I'll be in touch. It'll be all cleaned up, and please share it on all your socials. We'll share it on ours, and we appreciate everything.
Happily will do. Thank you both.
Thank you. Have a good night.
says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then